Buying a decent pair of football boots doesn't have to break the bank. And while top-end models retail for as much as $260, you would be surprised at how much value you can find around $100. So in this video, we're gonna cover some of the best affordable options you can currently find on the market. And of course, at the end of the video, if you're interested in picking up any of the boots that we discuss, you can find links to them on sale with some discount codes in the description below. And with that, let's get into the first boot on our list, the Nike Phantom GX2 Club Edition. Now the GX2 Club is the 4th tier takedown boot from Nike's new Phantom line, and it's gonna retail for around $65. And so obviously at $200 less, it's not gonna have all the bells and whistles that you find on the premium version. For example, you're not gonna have grip knit throughout the upper, and the heel is gonna be a little bit more chunky. But that being said, you do get some perks with this boot, including a really versatile multi-ground sole plate that in my opinion is actually better than the cyclone pattern you get on the Elite version. You're also gonna get a pretty comfortable fit, which after all is the most important thing when you're looking for a new boot. And while you aren't gonna have that grip knit throughout the upper, you are gonna have some textured elements that give the boot a little bit more character. And at the end of the day, for around $60, you're not gonna find a cheaper boot from Nike. So as long as you're not expecting the fanciest features, I think all of the club versions from Nike are gonna be great budget options. Next up on our list, continuing with Nike, we have the Vapor 15 Academy. The Vapor 15 Academy is gonna be the 3rd tier takedown for the Vapor series, and it retails for around $90, but you can often find them on sale below that. And what surprised me the most about these boots is that their feature set and fit actually do a pretty good job at replicating the feeling of wearing the Elite Vapors that sell for around $260. You're gonna get a really thin upper with these boots that gives you a lot of sensitivity on the ball, and after all, that's pretty much all the Mercurial series is about. But one thing I specifically like about the Academy model is that instead of being a one-piece knit upper construction, you're actually going to get an open traditional lacing system that makes the boot a little bit better for players with wide feet. And it's for that reason I personally found that the Vapor 15 Academies were a little bit more comfortable for me compared to the more expensive versions. And when wearing these boots, I didn't notice any pressure points around the heel area or towards the front of the toe box. And while all the Academy versions from Nike are pretty solid, including the Tiempo and the Phantom, I just find that the Vapor 15 brings the best value. Next up on our list, we have one of my personal favorites, the Nike Premier 3. Now the Nike Premier 3 technically retails for $110, but you can often find many of the colorways on sale for $100 or less. And technically the Premier 3 is the most affordable top-end boot that Nike offers in its line. And in addition to that, the Premier is also the only full leather boot that Nike currently offers. And after owning these boots for just over 3 years, I'm still shocked at how soft the material is. Now the Nike Premier 3s are actually going to ship with a retro fold over tongue. But one cool thing that Nike does is that they actually give you a dotted line across the top of the tongue if you want to get some scissors and remove that fold over tongue in the future. And for me, I rocked the fold over tongue for the first 3 months or so, but after a while, I just thought that they would look a little bit more modern with the tongue removed, so that's what I went for. And maybe it's just me, but I just feel like these boots have such a clean and really simple aesthetic. This platinum version also has some gold designs on the back, which I think are a really nice touch. And since these are leather boots, the upper is going to stretch and soften over time. And that's going to make the Premiers some of the most comfortable boots that Nike has in their lineup. Maybe my only criticism of the Premier 3 is that the boots could be a little bit more durable, and I did notice some tears coming up after the first 2 years. But nevertheless, these boots are still going to be great for wearing through a couple seasons. Next up, we got the New Balance 442 V2 Pro. I swear you almost never see anyone wearing a pair of these boots when you go out to the field. And maybe that's the reason you so often find these boots discounted well below their $130 full price. But it's pretty crazy to me these boots aren't more popular because they are really solid. Now they obviously don't have the flashiest design, but they're gonna have a soft kangaroo leather toe box and an extremely accommodating wide fit. And while they appear to be pretty traditional in their design, the 442s actually weigh the same as the Vapor 15s from Nike. And one of the reasons these boots are so light is because of this sole plate, which is also gonna feature these conical studs, which are great for use on both firm ground and artificial grass. And maybe my favorite feature of the 442 is that it comes in both standard and wide width variations. And if you do opt for that wide version, it's gonna have more space towards the front of the boot than almost any other boot you can find on the market. My only criticism of the 442 is that the heel area is a little bit rigid and could do with some more padding, and it takes a few sessions to break in. But after you move past that, these are great leather boots at a really fair price. Next up, we have the Under Armour Magnetico Pro. Over the past decade, Under Armour has been on a kind of weird trajectory when it comes to their football boots. While they've had some hits, they've also had quite a few misses. And because Under Armour's Magneto series isn't as popular as boots from Nike and Adidas, you often see the Pro version discounted from $130 down to $90. And I think the design of the Magneto Pros is gonna be love it or hate it. Personally, I think the clone upper with that quilted pattern actually looks pretty cool. And not only do I think they look good, but they were also pretty comfortable on feet. To me, the upper that Under Armour is using actually feels like a synthetic version of leather, and they executed on it really well. The only thing I wasn't a fan of was the heel area, which just felt a little bit more bulky compared to the rest of the boot. Let me know how you think these boots look, but personally, I'm really optimistic to see where Under Armour goes with their boots in the future. Next up, we've got the Copa Gloro from Adidas. Now, if you're looking for a boot that's going to bring that old school Predator vibe, you might be better looking towards the $90 Copa Gloro compared to the $280 Predator Elite. And the first thing you'll notice when picking up a pair of the Gloros is that they're going to have that retro fold-over tongue with that elasticated strap. And the stitching throughout the upper almost reminds me of the Adipures that Tony Cruz wears. And speaking of that upper, it's going to be made from a really soft calf leather that's pretty wide towards the front of the toe box, so it has a fit that's going to accommodate most players. Now, the leather on the Gloros isn't going to be quite as soft as the leather you find on the Copa Mundial, but keep in mind the Copa Mundial is going to retail for $170, which is almost double the price of the Gloros. And similar to the Nike Premier 3, if you do want to remove that fold-over tongue, Adidas does give you the option with a dotted line where you can just cut it off. So if you're looking for a comfortable leather boot to bring that nostalgia factor, this is definitely one to look out for. Next up, we have another great boot from Adidas, the F50 League. The $90 F50 League might be my favorite takedown boot that's currently on the market. The fiber skin upper is thin enough to offer you a barefoot touch on the ball, but it doesn't feel flimsy at all. And while you're not going to get the sprint web coating that's on the premium version, you are going to have a decent amount of stickiness throughout the upper that's just going to give you a little bit more grip when you're shooting or passing. But being that this is a third tier takedown boot, the most surprising thing for me was that no part of this boot felt chunky whatsoever. Even the heel area, which is usually a dead giveaway for takedown boots, had the perfect amount of padding. And another area where takedown boots tend to struggle is lockdown. But with the adjustable lacing system and the deep heel area in the F50 Leagues, your feet are going to feel really secure. And I actually feel that the F50 Leagues do a slightly better job at accommodating wide feet compared to the Predators or the Copa Pure. And for me, the cherry on top is that with this version, you still are going to get that compression fit tongue, which I thought would only be featured on the premium version. So if you want to get a feel of the new F50s in a more affordable package, these are going to be a great option. And finally, for the last boot in our list, we have the Puma Future 7 Pro. Now, while the Future 7 Pro retails for $120, as with most other Puma models, you can always find this boot on sale. And if you find them for $100 or less, they're actually one of the most attractive value propositions in Puma's entire lineup. And other than being affordable, I also think the Future 7s are some of the best looking boots I've tried on in the past year. Now, Puma was pretty much the first brand to successfully execute a fully knitted upper football boot when they launched their Future series. And if you've never tried on a pair of the Puma Futures before, I definitely think it's worth a shot. They almost give you the sensation that you're wearing a pair of socks, and that's a feeling that some players are going to like more than others. Now, because that upper is so flexible, you are going to want to make sure the laces are secure, especially towards the ankle area, just to make sure your heel doesn't slip at all. But if you are looking for a sock-like knit football boot, the Future 7 Pro is the only boot that's going to do that under $100. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. Please let me know in the comments below what your favorite football boot is under that $100 price point. And also, if there's any other videos or reviews that you'd like to see in the coming weeks, please let me know as well. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I will see you in the next video.